All right, welcome everyone officially to our Egoscue webinar about back pain. So my name is Zach Vehrs. I'm the clinic owner here in Seattle, Washington. And I've been uh, coming up on 10 years now. I was just thinking here and doing my own practice in Seattle. I actually worked in Portland a little bit before that. But I originally got into Egoscue when I was in college. So I studied exercise sciences. I was a personal trainer. That's kind of where I learned about it from a professor of mine. And he actually had scoliosis and he was a golfer. And so he had a
Mm,
lot of back pain, but
mm,
until he found the Egoscue method, and that was what got him through it. So initially I thought, oh, this is great. Sounds like a good idea, right? We're correcting posture naturally with exercises and helping people get out of pain that way. Um, but I thought, oh, this is great, but it's for old people, right? It doesn't apply to me. I'm 20 something, invincible, right? You know how it goes. But so I got a little taste of it personally, though, as I was in grad school playing a lot of racquetball, and I started developing shoulder and back pain myself, and so then I had to really, you know, uh, figure out what was going on there. And when I first saw my posture photos, it was clear how crooked I was, and it made sense like why I was hurting wasn't the fault of the sport, but rather my body I was bringing to the court was already in a compromised position. And so once I got that taken care of, doing the exercises right away, I felt the difference, and I was able to keep playing racquetball, and that's kind of what sold me on the whole method. So I got certified, and then got the job in Portland, and began helping other people there. And it's still something I do to this day. It's a practice in my lifestyle to keep me feeling good. So that's a little bit about me. So Laura, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Zach. I'm Laura, and I'm the owner of the Portland Egoscue Posture Therapy Clinic. And today I'm at our travel clinic in Cannon Beach. So we have two locations here. And I've been in fitness and wellness for over 30 years. Born and raised north of Montreal in Quebec, and had my school and wellness studio there for a couple of decades before I came to the Pacific Northwest and to Portland, and had the wonderful opportunity to take the clinic over from Martin and Kelly, who had the clinic there for 20 years and built up a beautiful community. And they're still working with the company and with other clinics now in Nebraska and, well, living in Nebraska. And Martin's working in Denver, doing a travel clinic there in Kansas City. So it's fun to still have a wonderful team of practitioners that we work with. And I've always been inspired to work with other practitioners and to learn different tools and techniques to take care of our bodies. My background also is in exercise science, and I worked as a personal trainer and a fitness club manager for several decades before opening up my own wellness studio. And during that time, got to meet Brian Bradley, who is our VP of Egoscue, and at a conference that we were both teaching at. And he suggested, because I was dealing with my back pain and hip pain back then, and he suggested that I get more involved with Egoscue and start the certification process, which I ended up doing, not knowing that further down the road that I had the opportunity to have the clinics. So yes, I have had my own share of lower back pain for decades. I've always been physically fit and active and loved to ski, loved to cycle, and have had some tumbles in those sports as well. I think probably that led to some of the imbalances that I deal with in my own body. And I'll share my story. We're actually going to share some of my photos here today, some crooked ones. So you'll be able to assess my posture and to see what you see. And it's deceiving because we often say in Egoscue that the site of the pain is often not the source of the pain. And that's something I didn't learn in my degree in exercise science and as a personal trainer and as a functional movement specialist and yoga teacher. I've done a lot in over 30 years in the wellness industry, but Egoscue is a wonderful method you'll see that works the body systemically, where the whole body works together as a unit. So if we just focus on the site of the pain, sometimes there's a missing link. And that's what I learned about my own body, which is why I believe in it so strongly. And that when I do my exercise menus every day, even if it's just 3 or 4 exercises, I can reset my body now within 10 or 15 minutes. I love to do sometimes 30, 45, 60-minute practices, but I can get myself usually back in alignment fairly quickly, especially because of the consistency that I've done. So it'll be fun to share that story with you later on. I'll let Zach take it back and we'll take a look at the anatomy and hop right on into this webinar.
So thanks. Yeah, and if anybody has any questions come up, please, you can either put them in the chat. So you should see a option to message or chat the whole group, or you can send it to us privately if you'd like, or just unmute yourself and chime in. We want this to be interactive, so we're not just talking for an hour at you. So please chime in with some questions. So real quick, the Egoscue method. First of all, how many is anybody here like brand new to the method? Never read any books or been to any classes or sessions? Anybody brand new? No? Oh, couple. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if you're not familiar with the method, it's been around since, well, really officially since the early 80s, and it was started by a guy named Pete Egoscue. So that's where the name comes from. And just real quick, his story is he came back from Vietnam injured as a Marine and had this lingering pain that nobody could really help him with. You know, the medical system failed him and only could offer him drugs or just told him, well, it's in your head, you know, we can't see anything wrong. So he didn't like that answer, and maybe you've come across a similar situation. And so basically, just by his own study of looking in an anatomy book and seeing how our body is designed to be, which is, you know, we have the same muscles and joints on our right side and our left side. We're meant to stand up a certain way. And if you don't, he was realizing how different his body was. And so by changing that through some experimentation on himself, he figured out what felt good and what helped him get out of pain. And then he started helping others. So it was really this self-taught kind of thing. He doesn't have any, you know, medical degrees or anything like that, but he started helping other people and it just developed from there. And so now we have about 20 clinics across the country. And yeah, that's, you can read more about him on our website or any of his books. Pain Free is a popular one. Okay, so I'm assuming everybody is here because you either have back pain or you have had back pain or you don't want to have back pain, right? So I think the last statistic I saw somewhere, like something like 80% of adults will have back pain at some point in their life. So almost everybody. Um, I don't know what those 20% are that don't get it, but this is just a few of the most common symptoms or conditions, if you will, that we see in our clinics. So, arthritis, degenerative disc disease, that's a real common one, sciatica, scoliosis, herniated disc, or also bulging discs, bone spurs, stenosis, and then this one's fun, spondylolisthesis. Um, so, you know, we see all this stuff, but really what makes Egoscue different is you come in and maybe you've had an x-ray or an MRI and you say, oh, look, I've got all these scary sounding symptoms, right, diagnosed, and it can be kind of daunting and you might feel like, oh, am I ever going to get better, right? These sound pretty serious, right? And sometimes they are, but um, ultimately we have to step back and ask the question of the why. That's often what you don't really get on those reports. They tell you what you have, and there's not a whole lot of explanation of, well, why did that disc herniate? You know, or why do I have arthritis here, but not in this other part of my back, right? Um, or why do I have pain even though there's nothing that shows up on the MRI? That happens a lot too, right? So that's what we want to dive deeper into is the why, the root cause. This is also just showing, it's a lot of numbers. The gist of it is this is showing, you can see the age groups, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And it's just showing likelihood of finding some of these conditions, disc degeneration, in people that don't have any pain. So if you look, find your age on there, um, and then look at how common, even in your 30s, like 52% of people that don't have any pain have some disc degeneration. So I guess this is just to show you that a lot of that stuff you see on your MRI is actually pretty normal, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have pain. So, you look at like our typical client is in their 50s, 60s, see people in their 70s and 80s too. But at that age, it's like almost everybody does, right? And these are the people that don't even have pain. Um, so that's just to give you hopefully some reassurance that if you have some of these conditions, it's okay. There's a good likelihood that you can live without pain, as long as we fix the cause, right? And we don't just chase these symptoms. So the symptoms, the pain, we like to think of it like a check engine light on your car. It comes on to warn us of something, right? Now, the light itself doesn't really tell us necessarily what's wrong, right? We have to do some further investigating, looking to see what the code is, or what triggered it. So pain is the same way. The pain itself is not a bad thing. It's just telling us, hey, pay attention, right? So you need to change something. Something's not working right. So if we just ignore it, we just maybe put a little sticker over that light on our dash so we don't see it anymore. It doesn't stress us out. That's not going to be good long term, right? So we want to again fix the problem, um, not just the symptom. So a lot of people will say that oh, I have back pain because I'm just getting old, right? Based on that uh, table there, these back conditions get more common as you get older. But again, those are people that don't have pain. So why do those people not have pain and I do? We're the same age, right? Or genetics. Oh, my dad had a bad back. My grandma had a bad back, so it makes sense I have a bad back. Well, again, I don't know if we found any genes that express back pain so far, but just because it's common in your family doesn't mean that's the cause of it. And our jobs, this one can actually contribute, but again, it's more about how we're using our bodies. So if you sit on your butt for a living, which most people do, unfortunately, then yeah, that's going to impact your posture and the stress on your back. But there's still stuff you can do about it, right? You don't necessarily have to quit your job, but you can counteract that stress with some other lifestyle choices, which is what we're here to help you with. So, and ultimately, so what we believe the cause to be in most of these situations, unless you've been, hit by a truck or something, these chronic issues are typically because your body's out of alignment. It's because something's out of balance, something's not working the way it should be in your musculoskeletal system. It's not just in your back. So even though the pain is in your back, we have to look at the whole thing because it's all connected. Just like this house, you know, um, we may see some parts are damaged or crooked at the top, but can we really say is that the cause of the problem? Or we have to look down here, right? There's problems all the way to the foundation. So um, it's because it's all connected. We have to address all those pieces together, and otherwise things are going to topple over. Stress fractures, or things are going to start to break, right? So our body is meant to move, and ultimately, for most of us, the problem is we're either not moving enough, or we are moving enough. Maybe we're not moving with enough variety, so we tend to specialize in we have a favorite sport or a favorite way to exercise, but we don't really move our bodies the way that they were designed. If you think back to when you were a kid, we were all probably more active, just playing, and we didn't have as many responsibilities, obviously, but we moved a lot more in a variety of ways. And unfortunately, as we get older, we tend to limit our movement more and more. And so as a result, some muscles end up underutilized, they get weaker. maybe they get tighter and stiffer. Um, Other muscles may get overdeveloped, especially if you have a sport that you play a lot. And so that's all leads to the body being out of alignment because the muscles control what the bones do. That's what controls the position of your joints, is ultimately the muscles. Um, and luckily, muscles is something that we can change, right? At any age, our muscles will respond to how we use them. So that's the good news. So, in summary, we want to get rid of our pain. Um, we got to look to the source. Drugs, surgeries, they're definitely helpful and sometimes definitely needed. But a lot of times they don't really fix the cause, they're just treating your symptom. Um, the We could rest, we could go on vacation, that can be, again, a temporary solution, but ultimately we have to fix the underlying problem and not just ignore it or stop stressing it out. Or like this guy, and I can relate to this, and maybe you can if you've had to give up an activity you love, right? I could have just given up racquetball because that's the only reason I hurt, or so I thought. Um, if I don't play racquetball, then I won't hurt, right? Well, if we keep going down that road, then eventually something else is going to start hurting, and then I'm just going to keep limiting myself, right? And soon enough, you feel like you can't do anything, right? Um, so ultimately, we want to, again, fix the root cause. First, we got to figure out what that is. So, Laura, why don't you talk us through how we find out what the problems are?
hmm So let me introduce you all to Mr. Function Freddy. So people often come into the clinic and say hello to Freddy, either before saying hi to me or after me. He's on all of our walls at all of our Egoscue clinics. And this is our ideal model. Now, most human bodies aren't perfectly symmetrical, that if we fold our bodies in half, that our shoulders line up, our hips, our knees, and our ankles line up perfectly. Yet when we look at this model, the closer that we can get to a very balanced and symmetrical body, the better we function and the better we feel. So a balanced body feels and functions better. So if we take a look at this body, just like if you were to take a look at yourself in a full length mirror, and this is what we do when you come in for your posture assessment, every time you come into the clinic for an appointment, is that we take your photos and we're looking at what's different right to left. Ask yourself that question. Do you have a shoulder higher than the other? We're looking at the two shoulders. Are they balanced? How about your hips? Is one higher than the other or more rotated forward or back than the other? We look at your gait also, because sometimes the hips rotate differently right to left, which can lead to some back pain. I'll share my story of that's my case. The kneecaps, are they both pointing forward? Is one pointing in, one pointing out? And same with your feet. When you stand, if you were to stand up right now and not think about it, do you stand with your feet perfectly straight, or do you have one foot that's turned out more or inward more? So we're looking at this 8 load joint design, which you've got 4 of them on each side, the ankle, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder. Feet are pointed straight ahead, ideally, and we've got 90-degree angles at each of those joints, which is why when we do exercises, we want to, it's not a random decision. We will choose exercises that are targeted to your postural imbalances and asymmetries to bring your body back into balance in a pain-free way. Okay, so we're centering that line right up from the side that you can see in this profile from your ankle. It should bisect through the knee, the hip, the shoulder, and the ear. Um, Ideally, an S curve in the spine. A lot of times we're seeing C curves in the thoracic spine, more rounded forward, or too much curve or not enough curve in the lower back. So these are things that we're looking at your side profile as well. We'll look at some pictures of real life people so you can assess this for yourself.
Right. So here's a real person here that I worked with a while ago. So these are his first pictures, and so we'll just give you all a chance to practice now. So this is where we interact. So if you want to unmute yourself or start typing in the chat, what do you see that looks different? What's different about his posture than um, Function Freddy's? All right, remember, so we want symmetry. We want those joints stacked right on top of each other. Okay, so start to just shout them out. What do you see?
You get to be the posture therapist now. So what's different right to left? Does that line bisect from the center's feet right up to his nose?
His His between his feet's the middle, but the belly button's like off already
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yep.
And
He's
and it
shifted.
kind of
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Head's too forward on the right side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you look at the side profile, does that red line bisect the ankle, knee, hip joint, shoulder, and ear?
oh, not the ear at all.
No.
Yeah, misses. Yeah.
Can she hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Looks like the one shoulder, I'm looking at the front view, but his left shoulder's dropped a little and the hands aren't straight across.
Oh, yeah.
Good eye, Jim. How about the hand position? Does it look different? Either the spacing between the torso and the arm or the position of his knuckles?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Big time.
it's off.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The hips are off too.
Yeah,
Maybe
good.
Yep.
it
Does
doesn't
that look
look
like it's
like it.
more rotated forward on that right hip forward?
Yeah, and it's his hips are going off to the right more.
Yep.
They're not centered.
True.
Yeah.
Good. So these are what we call posture deviations. We all have them, right? It's just that when our deviations happen, then we start to compensate and overuse some muscles that tighten up to put us into sometimes a protective mode. And then that's when we start feeling pain often. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Zach.
This client, he actually, main reason he came in was low back pain. L4,
Hmm.
L5, very common spot to have some problems. So now, with that in mind, looking at what we see now with his posture, does it make sense why he would have pain there? Like, just think of the position his spine is in right now. It's not,
Hmm.
It does to me.
yeah.
Yeah. So if the hips are off like that, does that put more stress and strain in the lumbar spine?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm,
He's off in a few different directions, right? He's
yeah.
not centered, so he's more stress on one side than the other. He's also pushed forward, so that curve, the S curve, is now, all off. Is also just how far forward he is, right? It's not just his head, but his whole center of gravity is right in his pelvis is ahead of
Yeah,
his
so much
ankle.
in this.
So that puts a lot more stress on your back as well. Um, all right. Well, here he is after doing
Oh,
Wow.
Egoscue.
wow, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Much more symmetrical.
quite different. Yeah.
Yeah.
What specifically? What changed?
Shoulders are back. He's standing up straight. The belly button's in line with the dot between his feet and his nose. It's all up and down.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
His pelvis is in a different position also in that side profile. You can see that lining right up from the ankle upward to the ear.
Did this gentleman have a prior injury?
I don't remember any injuries. I think it was just kind of the typical, like, oh, my back is just hurt for a long time, no real specific reason, you know, active guy, right? He's in pretty good shape for his age, so I think he played tennis but yeah, ultimately, I mean, this is the reason why he
Hmm.
hurt, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's something obviously we can fix. So he put in the effort doing his exercises every day, and that's ultimately what made the change. So it's
That the
not.
muscles move the bones and pull you back into alignment. To Monica's question earlier, to wear some of these back supports that can offer some temporary relief, but ideally, we're working our own inner technology of our musculoskeletal system that pulls our bones and our structure back into alignment and takes the stress and strain out of the joints.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because typically,
How long, sorry, how long it took for him to get from first pictures to the second one?
this was within. So we typically do kind of our program is typically either 8 sessions or 16 or sometimes goes beyond that. But so this was after 8 visits, which is about 2 to 3 months to make that
Wow.
dramatic change. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Mhm.
Mm, good question. Thanks.
All right, here's someone else you might recognize.
Wow. Well,
Laura.
here's some. Now that you're all posture experts, friends, what do you see in my posture?
Oh,
This was a couple years ago, though, right? So give her some credit. She doesn't look this great.
I've done lots of work and I continue to do
wow.
so.
And you didn't look bad to begin with, really. You'd look at you and you go, oh, you look fine. but
Yeah, those aren't my
something was
first
going
first
on.
photos, but
Your
I've
left
certainly
hand
got
was hanging
patterns.
lower.
Say that again, Paula?
It looks like your left hand was hanging lower in the very first
Well, it is
photograph.
their shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
Mm-hmm.
the
All
shoulder.
the
So that's a good cue. You look at hands and see what's different right to left. Do you
the
see
hips
thumbs?
are
Do you
off.
see knuckles?
The
Hips?
hips
Yep.
are off, the knees are off, and the feet are off. I can
Mm-hmm.
see it with my X-ray eyes.
What is the circle around your head signifying there? I don't, was those your ears that we're looking at?
Yeah. Does it look like my ears are in alignment side by side?
They're
No.
My head's
No,
tilted.
Your head's tilted too.
Hmm. You can see the line in my neck, how it's not straight.
correct.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
Yeah, so if that shows, we want to get to look at the front profile and the back profile tells you a lot, right? My hips, if you look at the right hip on the back profile, you see it in the front and the back. This is where we look at, when we examine your photos, we're looking for patterns that are consistent across these images. My right hip is sitting higher, my left shoulder is sitting higher. So that's putting my spine into a lateral flexion and my head is following, right? So
Mm.
and I had some neck tension and I've had lower back issues for a long time. And my MRI also showed that, to Zach's point earlier, that I had disc bulge. And when I first got that news, it certainly upset me. I like to be athletic. I like to hike. I like to bike. I enjoy skiing. And those are things that would just make me hurt a little bit more. So what I discovered, and if you look at we talked about the symptomatic issue was the back pain, but it wasn't it wasn't a back problem to start with. There was wear and tear over time that created some of that herniation and that pain in my lower back. So what I discovered when I started doing the Egoscue method, especially abductor presses, lying in the static back position. We'll talk about static back in a second because I used to call that pose the crisis pose. When you're lying 90 degrees, your legs up 90 degrees on a block or on a chair, it takes the pressure out of the lumbar spine. It relaxes and releases all of your back muscles. So we release the compensation muscles then that interfere with our balance and functional movement. So what I discovered as I started doing some exercises was that my left glutes, my left hip, did not activate or fire as much as my right glutes. Now, I had an alpine ski injury many, many years ago. I've had water ski falls and yanked my left hip a few times. That could have been part of that cause. So think about it. When you're walking, in my case, when I would walk right to left, because my pelvis wasn't rotating evenly right to left due to the fact that my deep glutes on my left weren't firing the same way as my right, I was overly rotating my pelvis, which then rotated my lumbar spine every time I took a step. So you can imagine after a 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute walk, my lower back would burn. I'd have to get home
Oh,
and then get into the static back just to find some relief. So once I started getting my deep hip rotator muscles balanced and my left glutes were firing as much as my right, then my pelvis wasn't overly rotating. My two hips were rotating evenly right to left. I was getting that proper hip flexion and hip extension. And then I could go for longer walks. I go, wow, I just did a 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour hike and I have no back pain. So now one of my go-tos is that I make sure I do, for me right now, I love doing the kneeling ankle squeeze just to fire up my glutes to make sure that they're even. Because if I'm sitting a lot during the day, and we do a lot of Zoom calls with people as well, if I do 3 Zoom calls in a row of consultations with people, my glutes go to sleep. That's a condition that we often call glute amnesia. Our butt muscles forget to do their jobs. So we need to fire them up. And those are really crucial muscles in our gait. And if you look at my feet also, I've got bunions and my right foot is worse than my left. So when I talked to Pete Egoscue about that, he said, Laura, bunions are caused from improper loading in your gait. So what came first, my foot issue or my hip issue that caused the lower back issue? So it didn't start as a lower back pain. Lower back pain was a symptom to improper loading of how I would walk, probably because my hips weren't functioning as well. So my menus now include some deep footwork, some deep calf work, and working all the way up to my hips, balancing my shoulder blades so that my whole body stays aligned. So we don't just work at the symptom of the low back. My menus include exercises from my feet, my ankles, my hips, my shoulders, and spine all the way up. And yes, I do still have those lower back flares that happen. Static back, getting on my back is a nice go-to. And even from there, I'll do knee pillow squeezes, abductor presses, ankle circles, and point flexes. Those are some of my favorites that I can do even just from static back. So you'll find those also if just getting to know Egoscue. Zach mentioned this before. The Pain-Free book by Pete Egoscue has menus in there for backs, thoracic back pain, lumbar back pain, to get your hips, your feet, your ankles, your shoulders in alignment. So any questions on that or any other comments of what you notice on my posture or what I've just shared there with you?
I seen it on that right side, your spine is really S-curved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the software also, because the AI reads our software and I didn't readjust that curve. It's reading also the hoodie that I had on that shirt. So I'm not that thoracic flexed. Um, But yeah, good eye. It does show a really big S curve. We want the S curve, but not that exaggerated. Probably the left side is a little bit more of my natural curve there. And I've been too lordotic. I've had too much of a lumbar curve too. I've had to be careful to get my pelvis back in alignment because that compresses the lumbar vertebrae as well. Too much of a curve can be just as painful as not enough. Zach, any comments on that?
Oh, that was great. And it was really educational and I think it helps people understand here. Um, and, not just addressing the symptom, but figuring out what the cause is. And, it could be different for everyone too, right? So that's why there's no, set protocol of, oh, you have low back pain. Here's your 3 exercises that's going to fix it. Cause
Right.
Your body's probably different than someone else's, right? Now there's some.
Yeah, and that's why we do the functional testing. If you put me in a stork stand of standing on one leg, you would have seen back then that I had one hip that didn't stabilize me as much as the other, and that was a big cue right there.
Mm.
So we're
How
gonna.
often do you see a neck issue affecting the lower back, or does it ever?
You mean like a problem in the posture of the neck, or you mean like pain in the neck?
Well, Jim's had what, 3 or 4 neck surgeries,
Or
and I've just got to wondering, could that transfer down to his lower back?
Possibly. I think
Possibly.
we're curious of looking at the whole body and seeing, was the neck the cause, or was that maybe a side effect or a symptom of something going on below it? Usually, I mean, my opinion is usually the stuff in the neck is because it's at the very top of the body, it's more affected by everything below it. So if there's any kind of problem with your shoulders, the rest of your spine, your hips, your knees, your ankles, chances are it's going to affect your neck. Um,
Okay.
it can go the other way too.
I see. I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
It can go both ways, but if you had like an accident or something, or an injury, or depending on the surgery, if you had a fusion in your neck, for example, and then you have limited mobility, that could affect the rest of your spine because now the neck can't turn as much, so you end up having to over rotate
Ah,
cells. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios, but
Mm-hmm.
key is just looking at the whole body, right? That's if we want to figure out the answer, we got to look at everything. So.
And, just a great point because I know Paula and Jim well. They come into the clinic often. Jim, remember the day that we changed the height of your cane when you came in walking? When Jim's been in pain, he uses a cane just to assist him. And he's come in days using the cane and he's left days without using it. But it was too short. So when we looked at Jim's posture at first, if I can share that story, remember how you were leaning to the side because that cane was so low that you were walking that way, right? And as
mhm.
soon as
yes,
we readjusted the height of it, it improved your posture and took some of that stress and strain out of your back and your neck.
it's always been at the height you adjusted it to. I've never changed it. I don't
Good.
trip as much as I used to.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's great.
right. Let's see. Let me mute everyone again. Thanks for all the feedback. Let's just talk. We'll show a couple other examples here. So just to show it's not just a fluke that Laura and the other guy. We see this kind of stuff all the time. These are just a few examples, before on the top and after on the bottom. Obviously this guy's pretty extreme, bent to one side. And you can see afterwards how much more balanced he is, both from the front, you know, front to back, but also side to side. I mean, look at his curve. Actually, speaking of S curve, I don't see any S curve there. That looks more like a C to me, right? Not great. This is I shared this. This came from one of our clinics in Japan, actually, a client of theirs. And again, it's kind of extreme, but I like to show this just because it shows how even in a real extreme, scenario like this, where this body is just so far from the design ideal, it yet can still improve, right? So it's never really too late. I mean, her back's just about bent over as far as you could go without falling over, and yet she was still able to make changes. And this was after just one session, by the way. Notice it's the same outfit. This is the same day. So pretty powerful stuff, right? But reason she got into this position is it's again how we use our bodies. So with her work and habitual activities she did all day being bent over, bodies will just adapt to that, right? So we end up getting kind of stuck in those positions, and unless we change something, right? Okay, last one, just to show that Egoscue can work for everyone, young and less young.
She looks like she got younger though, Zach.
Yeah, she did. I always like to point that out. Like, she does look younger in the after photos, even though she's not. But this guy also young and fit, right? Really strong and active, but yet he was still out of balance. And so it doesn't matter how strong you are, if your body's in a compromised position, eventually something's gonna give, right? So just a reminder that our bodies need balance, for everybody, athletes, and everyone else too. So, but yeah, this lady, look how much nicer the spine curve looks, right? Her head's further back. She was a photographer, and she liked to hike, and so she'd go up in the mountains and take photos. And in her 70s, and maybe even 80, I can't remember exactly how old she was, but yeah, her back was starting to get in the way until she started correcting her posture, and that's what kept her moving, doing the things she loves. So that's really what we're all about here at Egoscue. So okay, so enough of us talking. Time to have you all try it out. So we're going to do a couple exercises now, and just I guess a caveat that these are obviously generic demonstration exercises. They're meant to help, obviously, but everybody's body is different. So this isn't a prescription for your back pain. Obviously, we need to assess your own body to figure out what you would need, but these are things that should generally help you have a little bit better posture. And as a result, you might feel some improvements in your pain. But if anything hurts, like if we're doing a lot of shoulder focused stuff today, so if you have shoulder pain or neck pain or something, just let us know. We can offer some suggestions as alternatives. We don't want you to do something if it doesn't feel good. Okay. But first we're going to stand up and do what we call a weight distribution check. So let me stop my screen share. Okay, so if you have shoes on, best to take them off. If you socks are okay. All right, so just stand up, march in place a little bit, kind of shake out your legs and your arms. Okay, we're trying not to think about it here. I know we've just been talking a lot about posture, right? So just kind of move around a bit and then just stand still, put your feet wherever they feel is natural for you. So don't look at them, but just maybe close your eyes so you can't cheat. And just stand still for a moment. And as you're standing there, pay attention to what you feel in your feet. Just notice, okay, do they feel the same or do they feel different? Do you feel heavier on one side, or do you feel the pressure on a different part of your foot on one side compared to the other? Where exactly on the foot do you feel it? Is it on the front, like the ball and the toes, or is it back on the heels? Is it more on the inside edge, like towards the big toe, or out towards the pinkies? Or is it just kind of flat? There's all kinds of options. So just make a little mental note of that. And if you guys could don't mind sharing, so let's get an idea of what some of the options are. What is everyone feeling right now on their feet? I know for me, I actually feel pretty balanced right to left, although yeah, I guess I'm feeling a little bit more on the front of my right foot, so I um, must be a little bit out of balance here right now. So, what does everyone else feel? You have to unmute yourself. So I muted everyone already.
Ed's heels and I'm more on the ball of my foot.
So you guys balance each other out. Perfect. Okay. Anyone else?
I feel more pressure on the left side of my left foot, kind of on the inside of it. Bottom inside.
Good.
I feel more on my heels and more on the right foot on the outer side.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of
different. You can say it. He can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of wobble, so it oscillates from the outside of my feet to the balls to my heels.
Okay.
I think it's because of the injury. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Injuries, or maybe I'm just too old.
Well, I don't know about that, but it sounds like you're just not quite stable, right? So you're moving around a lot. So, okay, so a lot of different answers here. So we can see everybody's kind of in a unique position. Ideally, if everything was stacked up properly, like Function Freddy, we would feel the same thing on both feet, first of all. So we'd have 50% weight on the right, 50% on the left, and also 50% on the front and 50% on the back. So the ball and the heel should carry roughly the same amount of weight. So anything that feels different than that is just a signal that your body's not quite stacked up perfectly. So it's not something you need to try to forcefully change and think about all the time. It's just the way it is because of your posture. So we're going to go through some exercises now to change your posture, and then we'll check our feet again and see if you feel the difference. Okay. All right. So Laura, why don't you take us through 3 exercises?
Okay, let's start with some arm circles. I'm going to invite you to bring your feet pointed straight ahead, and you've got about 5 inches or so between your feet, enough distance where you could put a fist right between the big toe joints. Take a look at the outer edges of your feet, try to get them nice and straight. And we're going to bring our hands into what we call a golfer's grip position. So we're bending those first knuckles, thumbs pointing out. Now pull the shoulder blades towards one another. Keep your shoulders down. Extend your arms to either side of you, about shoulder height. We're going to follow the thumbs forward, make 6 to 8 inch diameter circles to the front. And let's go for 40 circles. Okay, nice strong pace. There you go. Excellent. So we're keeping the shoulder blades together, keeping the shoulders down, doing those circles to the front. Yes. And just find a pace that you can maintain. Hold that rhythm. And Zach will let us know when we're at 40.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
Starting over. We probably have about 10 left. Excellent. Shake out your arms. Super. Let's do the other direction. So golfer's grip position, pull the shoulder blades together, turn your palms up to the ceiling. We're going to follow the thumbs to the back. So backward direction now, circle to the back. And if you were to take a peek, your shoulders, elbows, wrists are in a nice straight line out beside you. Keep going. Keep that rhythm. And you might feel a little bit of movement through the upper torso. Try to keep your arms nice and straight. So ideally, no bend in the elbow. Can you do that? Make your circles from the shoulders, so not from the hands or the elbows. See if you can circle from, that's it. The shoulder blades are together. You got it. Keep turning the palms up to the ceiling, following those circles to the back. And you can go at your pace. You can go a little slower if you need to. That's fine. And we must be close to 40 and then release. All right. Next one, Zach, we have on the agenda was that elbow curls.
Yeah.
Same golfer's grip position. Let's take the knuckles to the temple, so just near the corner of your eyes. Keep your wrists nice and straight. We're going to open the elbows back as far as we can and then bring them forward. You're just pivoting the knuckles on your temples. So no movement at the hands. So the movement there is coming from the shoulder blades again. We open. Now, I love to do this one up against the wall. So if you have a wall space, the wall really gives our body feedback, even just standing at the wall without doing this motion, if that doesn't feel good for your shoulders. You can feel your heels, your butt, and your shoulder blades touching the wall equally right to left, ideally. This one, we do one set of 25. So
So make
open and
sure
close.
I'm just watching some people here. Make sure your knuckles, think of it like a hinge on your head. So this will move. You're not trying to keep your hand like glued to your face. So just let it roll.
Oh,
Like
okay. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah,
Just
good
put it
tip.
wrong.
Point it down. Yeah. So you'll feel your knuckles kind of roll on the side of your face.
Good. That's it. And then release.
Oh,
Nice.
good burn in your shoulder muscles yet?
I feel my shoulders, my upper back,
Yeah.
and my chest. Feeling more grounded in my feet too. What was the third one, Zach? Overhead extension. All right. So let's go ahead now. Same foot position. Take a peek and see if your feet have changed. Make sure that the outer edges of the feet are straight. Go ahead and interlace your fingers now. Straighten your arms ahead of you first. Let's get the bend out of the elbows, shoulders down. Extend the arms upwards and then look up. So you're not trying to send your head too far back, just extending and lengthening your neck, looking up to the ceiling. And your range of motion might depend on your elbow position. So get those arms straight first and then bring them up, even if they don't go right overhead. Look up. This is a 1 minute hold. So we've already done
Hold it.
15 seconds. We hold it.
Oh.
Yep.
Remember to
Looking up
breathe
and
with
hold. Now
breathe with your belly too. Take some deep belly breaths.
relax your belly. Take nice, smooth, deep breaths. We're not holding the breath here. 30 seconds. Nice straight
I've been
arms.
stretching my arms.
You're elongating your arms up, but keep the shoulders down.
Oh, I
Yes,
see.
that's it, Paula.
Okay.
Good. Excellent. 10 seconds to go, friends. Relax your belly. Nice deep breath. Anybody feeling any little trembles or shakes in their arms or their shoulders yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let it go. That's a minute. Good. Shake out your arms. Okay. Zach, lead us through the post test.
All right. So we just did a bunch of shoulder stuff, but let's stand relaxed again. And if you want to close your eyes, you can, but just draw your attention back to your feet. And let's see if anything changed. So,
Oh, I see.
yeah, what do you feel now compared to 5 minutes ago? I know for me,
Better.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
better.
feel better.
Yep.
More even.
Yeah.
Lighter,
It's
Monica,
more,
even?
Yeah, more even.
more
Yeah, I'm
even.
in my heels more than my toes now.
Great.
Mhm.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty crazy how all we did was some shoulder exercise and yet our feet feel different. How does that work? Right? This shows how
That's the beauty of the human body. You know, we've got so much connective tissue we call fascia running through the body, and we don't need to go and play in areas that are really sore. Everything is connected and works together. So we can do exercises, and this is what we help you choose when you come into the clinic. What's your most comfortable position? Standing, sitting, lying on your back, lying on your belly. We've got hundreds of exercises that we can choose from to build a menu that's targeted for your body. And you saw the posture pictures. They all had back pain, but very different postures and imbalances.
Yeah. So we're just about to wrap up here, but we want to talk about what the next steps are. So hopefully you learned some things today and are excited and ready to make some changes to help yourself feel better. There's really three different options that you can do at this point. So one um, is reading the book Pain Free. Laura talked about that. You can find it if you just Google pain free, even if you don't know how to spell Egoscue, it'll come up. And one of the best selling self help kind of pain books there is. And, you know, written by the founder himself. So if you have questions about the method or not, maybe you're still skeptical, which is fine.
Ouch.
Better place to learn more than the founder himself. But there's also chapters dedicated to each body part, the back, but also your neck, your shoulders, your knees, your ankles. So it's a great resource, but it's generic, right? So it's not going to take into account your individual posture. It's going to offer some recommendations that are most likely to help, but of course, everybody's different. So that's where second option, which is working one on one with, either Laura or myself, so that we can assess your posture and see exactly what's going on and answer those questions about why you hurt. And we can do that for free. So no obligation if you just want to learn more about, okay, what's going on with my posture and how is it related to my pain? We can take your pictures. We can do it in the clinics or we can do it on Zoom, just like this. So I usually have my Zoom clients, I give them instructions on how to take the pictures, and you can take them with your phone or on your webcam, and then just email them to me. We can put them in the software. You'll see all those lines and dots showing where each joint is, and it will really make sense then what's going on and why it's hurting. So that usually takes 20 to 30 minutes just to evaluate and get a basic sense of what's going on. Um, then of course the final option is if you're ready to take some action and get some exercises to start changing your body and just helping you feel better, then we recommend booking a session where you'll actually go through the assessment. We'll also look at your gait and how you move, your balance, um, and your health history and all that stuff, and then develop a program specific to your body and your needs and your goals. And it's a process, so that's why we offer these packages. So, like I mentioned earlier, either 8 or 16 sessions is kind of how we bundle it. And as a thank you for attending our workshop today, we're offering a 10% discount to anybody who wants to sign up in the next week. We can take 10% off for you. But in those sessions, we're constantly reevaluating because your body's going to change, right? Just like it changed after just doing those 3 exercises, you felt the difference. If you're doing a personalized routine every day for a whole week, you're going to be totally different after 7 days. So we typically meet once a week. We'll take new pictures, see how your exercises are going, make sure you're doing them correctly, which is really important. And then we'll make changes. So if your body is in a different position, we'll need different exercises. Maybe you've kind of mastered something that used to be hard. Now we can give you something more challenging to work on. Or maybe we just find, hey, those exercises didn't really do what we wanted them to do. Your body needs something different. So it's very tailored. But eventually the goal is, as you get through the program, is to have taught you everything you need to know to deal with it on your own. We don't want you to come to us every week for the rest of your life, right? We want to teach you the things that you can do to get out of pain and then stay out of pain and enjoy all the things you want to do. So that's kind of the basics of how it works. I'm sure you have questions about the process or anything else we didn't talk about. Now's your chance to ask questions. I'll put our
I have a question.
contact info here as well.
Yeah, you can reach out to either Zach or I also after the webinar if there's any specific questions, or if you just want us to take a look at your photos, or if you're ready to get started, we can book that for you as well.
I just have a general question. When I first went to Martin, I haven't been in person to see him in a couple years because I retired from my work, but my job, I was on my feet like all day. And now that I'm retired, I'm mostly not. And so I'm wondering if that's just changed, like maybe the menu needs to be different or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we can definitely update the menu. I know, Monica, when I'm on my feet all day, there's a couple of moves that I just need to do at the end of the day before I get back in my car and go home. But when our bodies are being stimulated differently, we often need different exercises just to keep us balanced.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can update that menu if you're ready. Or go back to some of your favorites. Look at those menus that Martin had created for you and go through them. Go, which ones did I feel worked well? And that's what Zach meant by, we want you to be autonomous at some point too. We're there to help you when you need your updates and your tune-ups. And you might just need a few sessions to get you back in gear. And then once you understand, going, oh, you know what? I need this exercise because I'm feeling this. And then you can start to practice that discernment to know exactly what size is going to bring you back into balance. Like I said earlier, I've got my longer menus, but first thing in the morning when I get to work or at the end of the day, when I just need a quick reset, I can get into the air bench or into static back, or like we just did. I love doing those elbow curls standing on the slant board. I can be reset just with those first few movements.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Where she's standing at a slant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Any
Um,
questions?
I, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I've been around Egoscue for a while and it has consistently worked for me. And then I kind of fall off and I get back on. But I have this feeling that it is more effective than going to a regular physical therapist. Any thoughts on people that have asked that question before or your own observations on that?
Yeah, I
Um,
can answer that, or Zach, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I think, um, I mean, you know, physical therapy is great. I don't have anything against them. It's just, it's a different, they're, I think they're best at helping with acute situations, injuries, like rehab from surgery or an injury, for example. Really good. Um, I think they're a little limited with more chronic stuff that's due to like the stuff we're talking about with these imbalances in your posture. So they're typically more focused on the site of the pain. So if you go in for your back, they're most likely going to give you stuff for your back, which makes sense logically. But, again, you might be missing something in your shoulders and your hips or your knees or your ankles, which is contributing to your back. So then it's only so effective. So I think what makes Egoscue different is we're looking at the whole body as it works together. And there are physical therapists out there I know that have a similar mindset and kind of address that whole body, which is great. So but just in general, I'd say physical therapy is a little limited there. So
I think
Okay.
they can't really help it because, like, I went to physical therapy for a sciatic pain, down a leg, and well, it was pretty much getting better after the treatments. And then I said, well, I got, my shoulder too. Well, that's not part of the consultation. That's not the referral, isn't for that. So you would have to go see your doctor and get a referral for a issue to deal with the shoulder. This is like you get 10 sessions for this pain, and that's what your limit is. And it's all insurance driven. And this isn't. It's like, oh yeah, the body's all connected and one thing can affect the other, but they are not allowed, no matter what they agree with or think, they're not allowed to say, well, gee, let's explore that. No,
Thank
not
you.
on the insurance dime.
I've
They can,
never, I've never thought that through. Thank you.
yeah.
yeah, that's a
Hmm.
good point. The insurance is, and that's another reason we don't work with insurance. So people see that as a negative, but there's actually
Mm-mm.
just the freedom to be able to treat you for what you need, right? And not just what
Yeah.
the insurance thinks you
they
need.
want to do to me for VA.
Yeah, we look at the whole
Yeah,
body. I had a lady yesterday in her mid
makes
70s
sense.
come in with a lot of back pain, severe scoliosis, bent over sideways completely, a lot of back pain. And she'd said to me that her physical therapist fired her because she couldn't help her.
Oh,
And she said it just wasn't working. Initially, there was a little bit of relief, and then after that, it just wasn't changing the posture. So every time she
right.
would go for long walks with her dogs, her back would really hurt. and her daughter told her about the Egoscue method because we work the body systemically, as opposed to just symptomatically. Within, if I showed you her before and after pictures, it's astonishing how the degree of her lateral sideways flexion of her scoliosis brought her almost upright. Not because we played with her back, because her back was sore, but we rebalanced her hips. She had an accident, and her front hip flexor muscles, her deep gluteal muscles, her calf muscles, there was a lot going on in her lower body that just wasn't firing correctly. As soon as we got that going in just one session, her posture had dramatically changed. She had a more balanced gait. She said she was amazed and she felt lightness in her step with a big smile on her face when she left. Like Zach and I, all of the Egoscue therapists, when we have those moments, those are just
Mm.
wonderful to see those transformations that quickly. And sometimes it happens that quickly. And sometimes, I mean, she's going to have to maintain that, right? That just shows that, wow, okay, once we switched on those muscles, her hips started functioning better and her hips were in a better alignment, then the spine comes into better alignment. So that's where, yeah, to your point, Monica, is that we have the freedom to be able to work from head to toe and see, well, where is the imbalance? Where's the weak link between those four load joints of the ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders, and rebalance the whole system, so that the body just functions and feels better.
Yeah, thank you.
Pretty amazing
That's
to me. I've been in physical therapy for 8 months. Got my right hip replaced 6 months ago. I still have faint pain. I still can't reach my foot. I can't bring my knee to my chest. I have now a torso lateral shift left that I did not have before.
Mm.
And I keep being told, these are compensatory issues.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What does that? Oh,
Oh,
compensatory.
compensatory, how the
Mhm.
body's compensating. So your
Oh, okay.
muscles, ligaments, joints, tendons are compensating for those weak links, my hip.
It's not very reassuring.
And I mean, I get it, right? My body was compensating for this failing hip, for 10
Mm.
years. But now it's like, okay, I get that. So fix the compensations.
Yeah, and this is
So,
where I've seen we've all seen so many cases like that, and we'll often say train for the sport of surgery, get yourself so balanced and ready that you make your surgeon's job easier, you
yeah,
make your physical therapist's job easier, so that right after the issue, the surgery, see the PT, do the PT to get that full range of motion back in the joint, which is really important. They do an amazing job with that. And then we often say, then you do Egoscue for the rest of your life. And we've
yeah.
all experienced that of going, okay, now I've got the range of motion back. Now I need to get my whole body back into balance and get those joints talking with one another again so
Mm-hmm.
that there's a friendly experience from head
Right.
to toe.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
physical therapist even said, that it's kind of like brain body's not talking because it's like I should be able to do these things, but I can't do these things, and they're not really sure why.
Yep, that's the neuromuscular connection. And we often say it
Yep.
takes 3,000 repetitions to create a new neural pattern, which is why when we give an exercise, it might be something like 3 sets of 20, but a sequence of movements as well to get that connection created again between
Right.
the brain. So we said earlier, muscles move bones. What moves muscles? It's our brain and central nervous system through putting your body into a neutral, aligned position, then retraining that brain and body connection again.
Right.
So that returns.
I even saw a neurologist, and the neurologist was very much like, "Why are you here? You don't have Parkinson's or MS." And it's like, I'm just looking for answers.
Mm.
Why are things not talking to each other? I actually have a nerve conduction test coming up,
Mm,
and it'll be interesting to see.
yeah.
I suspect they'll say it's fine. It certainly
And
doesn't feel fine.
it's good to rule all those things out and have the
Exactly.
diagnostic tests, right? And
Right,
see at what level you need the treatment.
right. And nerve pain all the way down my leg into my foot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, so I'm thinking coming to see you guys is probably a good idea.
Where are you
Mhm.
located?
I'm north of Seattle. I'm up in Mill Creek.
Okay.
So Zach, you're in Northgate, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, connect with use Zach's email there. Connect so you
Yep.
guys can have a
Mhm.
conversation.
Great. And thank you guys. This just came up at the right time. And I've seen this before and I've participated in these before, but it just kind of went in one ear and out the other. So I'm
Yeah.
paying a little more attention now.
Mhm.
Well, sometimes it's just timing, right? When the student is ready, the teachers appear. And we all have many teachers.
Very,
Yeah.
It's
very
never just one thing, it's trying to gather a lot of this, and you're doing the right thing with
right.
the neurosurgeon and your physical therapist. We all need a team sometimes of people that just give us those right little nuggets of information to lead us forward into the
Yeah.
next best step.
But the fact that you guys are looking at it as a whole picture, not just an
Mm.
isolated thing, I think is really
Mhm.
important. And I do know someone that has done Egoscue, and she said it was amazing. So
Mhm.
Well, we thank
Thank you
Pete.
for sharing.
He started this 50 years ago, and it's helped many people. So we're so grateful to have had that wisdom passed on to us as
yeah,
well, so we can pass it on to you.
right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, and
Appreciate
thanks for sharing your
you
story.
sharing your story. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we're all in this together, and we need support groups. Learn from each other.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good. Well, certainly stay connected. Zach and I do these webinars almost monthly, and we have the Instagram pages and Facebook pages as well, where we posted things. You've got the book. There's a lot of
Yeah.
resources there. We try to share that in many different ways so that you get the support that you need.
And I know you guys have other webinars that you do too, as far as like shoulder pain and hip pain and different things like that too.
Yeah, we do.
For those of you that don't know that. Now you do.
What's your first name?
Carol.
Carol. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap up, friends?
Just a quick question. Does this also help with acute injury?
It can definitely. I mean, the more balanced your posture is, the quicker you're going to heal, right? Because it's going to reduce the amount of stress put on your joints if your posture is good. So yeah. Or is there a specific injury you're concerned with, or?
I'm just curious. I agree what you guys share, everything, and I'm a physiotherapist as well. And I find the limitation with not having this knowledge, and I'm looking forward to learn more and first get work done on myself. That limitation that we didn't get to learn to observe the posture fully and then help people. The most of the clientele we see is work-related injury, acute injury, fracture, or other cases. So I'm just curious, like, will that be helpful tool for myself?
Yeah, I think
Yes, I
so.
love that. If I can go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I think especially with a lot of these work-related injuries or overuse injuries, a lot of times we see is it's kind of like, yeah, maybe they got hurt doing something at work, but if you look at their posture, it'll all of a sudden make sense why they got hurt. Like their
Mhm.
body's in such a
Mm.
compromised position. It's kind of like
Yeah,
me
yeah.
with racquetball, like racquetball wasn't really causing my pain. That's
Mhm.
kind of I don't know, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? It's the
The body you're taking into your sport.
already had these problems, and that was just the amount of
I want to
stress
know
needed
about
to
my back.
top it over.
Mhm.
It can be painful.
I
So
don't want surgery.
yeah, I think although we don't see as many acute injuries, we typically work with
Strengthen your body.
chronic pain. I do think by improving your posture, you're going to reduce likelihood of injury and also, um, help heal quicker as well. So
Yes, I could totally relate with that. Thank you so much.
Renew, one thing I can add too, a year and a half ago, I had a very serious ankle sprain. Um, Jogging through trails and my ankle turned on a root and I went hard down on the ground. We've got something called the Egoscue Tower, and you might not see it, but it's kind of in the back of my studio right now. As soon as I got in, because that'll switch off muscles of the hips as well, and I had a lot of swelling, and so I got myself, it gives you traction, so it put space, got my foot back into alignment, gave my ankle traction, brought circulation back into that joint, and then realigned the hip. So that helped me for that plus arnica, plus, other things and ice and elevation, because it got my leg right away into the elevation, and got that circulation going. So I healed that ankle sprain a lot faster than previous ones that I've had. in my
Wonderful.
life. So yeah, there's different. That's why Zach asked you, what's the injury? Because every injury, there's going to be a different protocol. But I love the tower for unwinding the body, and for that ankle sprain for me, that really helped too. So we have different tools for that. And yeah, we can certainly give you more information too on the training of Egoscue, because you're at a level where you've got a certain understanding of the human body to help it heal and restore. So connect if you want some more information on training to understand the
Sure.
Egoscue method.
Definitely, I would love to connect. And thanks for sharing your story about ankle sprain.
Yeah, you're welcome. Looks like Mary has her hand up there.
Yeah, Ed has been having issues with balance. He had health issues, and he has a whole set of Egoscue exercises already because he worked with Kelly back when they were still here. And my question is, and we also have a tower. So my question is there a way, if we did like a free posture evaluation, would you be able to look at him again and say which of the exercises, because he has a ton of them, would be the most beneficial for balance? And if the tower is something he should start incorporating like more frequently?
Sure. Why don't you pop me an email? So the portland@egoscue.com. And
Okay.
then we can set up a call together, or even just a Zoom call. And that way I can open up his EP, because if he worked with Kelly, then I can still see all the menus that he's done in the past and the exercises.
Yeah.
And we can just have a chat about that. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, that might be good because he right now he's still in physical therapy, so he's doing all of that, and we also have access to water exercises, so he's doing all of that. But I
Great.
do that,
I could do water.
need to move.
Yeah, and sometimes what I'll say is there's just 2 or 3 exercises, maybe, or even one, depending on the menu that's there, that will just rebalance the body. Is this who you said you're speaking for somebody?
Ed Verzak.
Ed, okay. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 moves that would be helpful before getting in the water, just to go into that activity with a more balanced, activated body, as opposed to sometimes then we're just strengthening our imbalances if something isn't firing correctly.
Okay, so I'll
So yeah, please reach out and we'll connect on that.
okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Just a quick question. How long menus take to finish or complete every single day?
That depends on the person. And that's a question we ask in the evaluations to see what's realistic for you. Sometimes we design 15-minute menus, 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute. But we'll usually start at least 3 or 4 exercises, because even that can make a difference for somebody who's not used to doing exercise. We can do shorter menus that are more targeted. So longer is not necessarily better. It really depends on each individual and what position they can get into and what their state and condition is as well.
Thank you.
Right, great questions, everyone. Thanks for your
Yeah, thank you for your participation.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll hopefully be hearing from you soon.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here,
Hello.
everyone.